You might want to check your kitchen pantry. There's a new study out today that found the main ingredient in weed killer is in more than 24 cereals and snack bars.
An environmental group first reported the findings back in August, and now it has tested even more products. KGW's Kristen Severance is here to show us what we should be watching out for. Kristen, this is scary.
It really is. So the ingredient we're talking about is glyphosate. It is the active ingredient in Roundup, made by Monsanto, the most popular herbicide in the U.S. Now, the Environmental Working Group, or EWG, tested 28 breakfast products and found glyphosate in 26 of those products. So let's go over them. You might even have some of them in your pantry right now. So here are some of those products: the Quaker Instant Oatmeal Apples and Cinnamon, Honey Nut Cheerios, Quaker Chewy Peanut Butter Chocolate Chip Bars. They were also found in the Quaker Breakfast Square Soft Bake Bars. These foods all reached the EWG's level for glyphosate. But it's important to note here that none of the foods violated EPA limits. As you can imagine, there is plenty of pushback here from Quaker Mills and from General Mills and Quaker. In a statement, Quaker says the EWG report artificially creates a safe level for glyphosate that is detached from those that have been established by responsible regulatory bodies in an effort to grab headlines. Monsanto also pushed back, saying an adult would have to eat 81.5 pounds of the oat breakfast cereal every day for the rest of their life to reach the strict limits set by the EPA. Back to you.
Still, though, Kristen, as a parent, you wonder, should I change what I'm buying at the grocery store?
Yeah, I think it's a natural question that parents are asking. Experts say, though, parents shouldn't freak out over this report. The important message here is that people should be more aware of what's in their food and really where it's coming from. There is a debate over glyphosate. So the International Agency for Research on Cancer calls it a carcinogen, but the World Health Organization says it's unlikely to pose a risk to humans through our diet. Now, this particular report is getting a lot of attention because just last week, a court ordered Monsanto pay nearly $78 million to a man who claims Roundup caused his terminal cancer. So I think people are just worried about this. They're interested about it. I think especially people here in Portland, you hear Monsanto and your interest is piqued, and I think people are just asking questions.
And you recognize some of the names on that list. I have them in my cupboard now.
Absolutely.
Kristen, thank you.
You bet.